Welcome to mini lesson 13.5, more random decisions. We're going to use some more nested if-else conditions. I want you to see as many different combinations as possible you can use with these nested if-else conditions. I also want to show you something called concatenation by using the join block inside Scratch. It's pretty complex affair for the first time I've ever seen something using the join block or concatenation. It kind of baffles your mind, but if you think about it, it'll be pretty simple, because what we're going to say with concatenation is we're going to join words together with variable information. Okay, let's go look at the Scratch program. The only thing we'll program is this heart here inside Scratch, and then we'll have this one function like so. So the first thing that happens is we're going to have a forever loop. If you remember on our other one, we had a recursion where it broadcasts a message to itself. In this situation, we're just going to use a forever loop. Here we're going to get a random number from 1 to 3. If the random number is 1, we're going to perform the action inside this first if section of the if-else block. If this is false, then we come down to the else section and we perform this action. Inside this action is a nested if-else loop, or excuse me, nested if-else condition, and we'll determine what to do next based upon checking this condition. And we say, okay, is it equal to 2? If it's true, then we'll perform this action. If it's not, by default, we go down here to the very bottom one. Let's look at what happens with this program. So we're saying it's random number 1, random number 2. It's going to keep doing this over and over again, and eventually it'll get through all 3 numbers. It won't ever stop. We're just doing this to give you an idea of some different things you can do. You can see that just randomly selected numbers. Sometimes it picks one multiple times in a row, sometimes it doesn't. You never know what's going to happen. So what's important is that you can take this information, get a random number, check its condition to see if it's equal to another value, perform some sort of action in here. If not, go to the next nested if-else section, perform another action, and so on and so on. Okay. The only thing different about this you may not have seen is I use concatenation right here. You can see concatenation. Whoops, trying to stop it. So whenever we execute any of the code that inside one of these if-else conditions, we're going to say right here, using the join block, we just typed in random number. I can put anything in here I want. And then I put the variable value, which is animation random number. This value comes from right up here. You can see where it's going to tell you. It says random number 3. It's going to say random number 2, random number 1. Okay, you never know what it's going to say because of the random number. What's important is that it goes into these join blocks and it takes the value of the random number and joins it with that, so it's going to print it out on the screen no matter what. Okay, that's called concatenation. You're just taking the string literal values here and amending it with the sprite data. And once it puts it together, you won't really be able to do any calculations. You're just using this to print stuff out onto the screen. So some things to understand about concatenation. We have to understand what's called a string variable. And string variables are anything printed on the screen that is not used for calculations, basically just text, if you want to think about it in simple terms. And strings can be any letters, numbers, or symbols, or spaces. Okay, in Scratch, the strings cannot be used for calculations, as I just said. We got a couple different images down here of concatenation with strings. In this example, we have a concatenation between 2 string literals where we typed in the word my and dog, and we took these 2 words and combined them together with the join block. And then the Scratch Cat, if it was to say it, it would say my dog. Okay, not super complex. And technically, you could have spelled out my dog all in one block. But I wanted you to see that we can take these 2 different text entries right here and combine them together. A little difficult over here is we have 2 variables. We have word 1 and word 2, and technically these aren't words; they're kind of segments of sentences. But anyhow, we take these 2 variables, word 1 and word 2, and we put them inside the join block, and whenever it prints out on the screen, the cat's going to say this right here. This is a very large bear. And it's doing that because this variable has that information and this variable has that information, and we combine them together with the join block. Okay? Concatenation can be pretty simple if you just keep it real basic and don't overthink it. Okay, so there you have it for mini lesson 13.5. You'll just program the heart, and make sure you experiment with nesting if-else conditions and some of the other animation effects, as well as the concatenation tools. And we'll see you in Unit 14, where we start making the Antivirus 1984 game, and we'll start moving into more complex things after that.